Hey everyone! Dory here from Doriel Designs once again to bring you cowls. I love this cowl. Oh my goodness. It has been perfect for the fall weather that just suddenly hit, and it's super warm and cozy. They're super easy to make, and I'm about to show you all of the details of that. But let me show you a couple of examples that I made. As you know, if you've seen my other videos, I can't just make one, I have to make them in every color. I think this is the cowl that everyone's kind of been waiting for, and whenever I talk about cowls, they assume I mean something similar to this and not really the kind of shorter profile ones that I've been making. So I think you'll all be excited about this one. I hope you are, because I have been really enjoying this piece. I have been wearing this blue one constantly since I made it. So I have a couple of examples here. This is the first one that I made, and it has this beautiful teal color, and you won't be able to see it fully in this shot, but it's basically wider at the bottom, and then it gets thinner and thinner as we get to the top here. So it's kind of like a bell shape, and then at the top, for this particular one, I ended up ending my decreases here, and then I just crocheted straight for a little while because I wanted it to kind of be a little bit closer to the neck, and it turned out really nice this way. So then for my next one, I did something very similar. I just didn't continue this upper part for much longer after I stopped the decreases. So I only did about 6 rows here after I stopped the decreases. And this one, it just didn't really need that extra bit around the neck. And what I've been doing with these is I will just try it on as I go. Since we're crocheting here, there's only one live stitch. It's really easy to throw on and kind of see how the garment is playing out. This red one here, I actually just did the single crochet stitch, and then I wanted to add a little flare, so I put in these like eyelets here. So what I tried to do originally was continue with the single crochet stitch all the way up, and it was way too stiff, and so I left this bottom part here as just kind of like an accent piece, and then I switched to the double and single crochet for the rest of it. Alright, so for today's project I am going to use this Lana. It's 100% wool, made in Brazil, and I actually got this as a gift, so I don't know where you can get it or how much it usually costs, but it has been a really beautiful yarn to work with, and it's recommending a needle size of 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter, but I am recommending probably a 7 for this, or possibly a 7.5. You want the fabric to be pretty loose and not too stiff, so any smaller than that and you might start running into some issues with how the garment lays. So I am ahead and start this project, very similar to others that we've done, and make a slip knot. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain. So it's a yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, and you're basically going to be making a chain that is long enough to go around your shoulders. And what you'll do once you have the chain long enough is kind of wrap it around yourself and then move your arms around a little bit and make sure that there's enough wiggle room so that you can move your arms freely. I like to be able to pull this down over my shoulders when I get chilly, so I'm going to go ahead and make it wide enough to go all the way around the outside of my shoulders, down my arm a little bit. Alright, so that should be enough to give me some room to move my arms around, and it is still stretchy enough. So I'm going to end it here, and I'm just going to run my finger along the top edge because I don't want this chain to be twisted when I bring it back around. So you should have all of the little top edge, the like V's that you see here, you want all of those to be facing the same direction. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around, and I'm going to put the crochet hook into the top of that first chain that we did, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm just going to do a yarn over, and I have the yarn from the end of the yarn too, and I'm just going to pull that through both of those loops there. So I like to work in the end of the yarn as I go, and now we're going to do our first row, which is a single stitch. We're going to start with a single chain up, and then I'm going to leave the tail behind. And then the single crochet stitch is going to go into the top of this loop here. Do a yarn over, pull through, yarn over, yarn over, and pull through both. And we are going to do that in every chain here that we created all the way around. Okay, so I'm reaching the end here, and you can see how this is the base of our first row here. And so I'm going to go ahead and push my hook into the heart of that first slip stitch that we did. We'll do a yarn over with the end of the yarn as well. I'm going to pull it through everything. And then for the second row, we are going to do the double crochet stitch. So I'm going to chain 2 to start. Leave the tail behind, and I'm going to do the double crochet, and I like to work into the back of the stitch so that this nice like line forms here. The traditional double crochet stitch goes under the complete V, so you wouldn't see that line, but I really like it. So I'm going to do it through the back of the loop here, so it's a yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that's a double crochet stitch, and I have another couple of videos that demonstrates the double crochet stitch if you need another example, but we are going to do the double crochet stitch into each of the single crochet stitches that we did of the previous row, all the way around. Very basic pattern here. We're just doing the combination of rows with the single and the double crochet stitch. So if you want to, you can get really creative with this. You can add in some cute little eyelets if you want to, like the red one I showed you, or you can use a different combination of stitches. It's really up to you. The only thing I will say is that I did try and make this with the single crochet stitch all the way up, and it was way too stiff. So if you are going to be using a smaller stitch, you might want to go up a size or 2 in the crochet hook and make sure that it's really loose, because if the fabric is too stiff, it just doesn't lay right and it just kind of sticks up and looks weird and bulky. So you'll want to make sure that your stitches come out a little bit on the looser side so that the fabric has some flex. Here we are at the end of row 2, just finishing up the last couple of stitches here. Alright, and I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain that we made from our last row. So this is the slip stitch, and this is the first chain with the second chain. So I'm going to push through that first chain, grab the end of the yarn here, and bring all of that through both of these for a slip stitch. Alright. So for the next 2 rounds, I'm going to do a repeat, and I'm going to do my single crochet and then my double crochet. You can continue this as long as you want. This is basically going to be the length that will be sitting down on your shoulders if you pull it down. I ended up just doing 4 rows total, so it's the single and double, and then I started my decreases, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so after you have enough height here, we are going to switch to the decrease rows. I'm just going to fold it in half at the seam, and we're going to put a couple of stitch markers in the ends here. And this is where we're going to be doing our decreases. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing by 2 stitches on each side. And we're just going to do the decreases on the single crochet stitch rows. So every other row we're going to have a decrease, and then the alternating rows are going to be the double crochet stitch. I am going to continue with the single crochet. So I'm going to do 1 chain and then single crochet into each of the stitches until I reach the stitch marker. Alright, so this is the stitch on the edge, so I am going to crochet into this one, and then I'm going to skip over this one and crochet into this one. So this is our decrease, and then I'm going to skip this next stitch, and that's our second decrease for this stitch counter. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side at the stitch marker, and then end the row with a single crochet. So I'm just going to continue around with a single crochet right now until I get to the other stitch marker, and then I'll do that exact same thing again.
So I'm skipping one stitch and going into the stitch where the stitch marker is, skipping the next, and then going into the one after that. And then I'm going to continue with the single crochet stitch until the end of the row.
So after the decrease round, I'm going to go ahead and do another double crochet round.
You'll just want to continue the pattern of single crochet stitch and double crochet stitch on all of your single crochet stitch rows. You will do the decreases on both sides and keep going until you like the way it looks.
I will show you how to finish it up here, but that's pretty much it.
All right, here it is. So we have this beautiful bell shape here, and then at the very end I did the last 4 rows. Now I'm going to cut the yarn, and I want to leave a bit of a tail because we're going to be weaving it in. So cut it a little longer here, and then I have this big yarn needle, and you're weaving in your ends. These come in very handy. So I went off camera a little bit here, but I'm just going through that final loop that was on the crochet hook, and then I'm just going to go through the top stitch here. I'm going to try and mimic the stitches that we've created down the seam here. So I'm just going to try and follow the pattern as best I can. So I like to wrap around the double crochet post here, and then I try and go through the single crochet and make it so that it lines up in the row a little bit better. Finishing techniques, there's books and books about them, so I will leave you to finish this up, but thank you again for being here today. I really hope you enjoy this piece. It's a little bit more on the dramatic side, but you can tone it down a little bit by making it a little bit smaller. If you didn't want it to go all the way around your shoulders, then it would you could start it with a smaller chain to begin with. Anyways, enjoy this, have fun. I hope you stay nice and cozy and warm with this fall weather that we're getting, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.